I am a landscape and plein air painter. However, lately I've been obsessed with floral subjects and would like to learn how to paint those. However, I have this big question on my mind, which is, would I be able to maintain a cohesive style as I branch into this new subject? Alright, so in this video, I'm going to take you along the journey of learning to paint watercolor florals while talking you through this overall question about style in watercolor, what defines your style, what type of watercolor styles are out there, and how to maintain a consistent look as you branch into a new subject. My current watercolor landscape style is this impressionism style with the emphasis of abstracted shapes and bold brushstrokes. All painted in the alla prima painting method, which is when you try to paint each area only once or in as few attempts as possible without using a lot of glazing or layering. The colors are quite pushed in order to create that immersive, nostalgic feeling that my work often evokes. So being able to define your work in these different aspects can really help you not only honing your current style, but also to guide you in the process of researching and expanding your painting subject. Other popular watercolor styles include the graphical style, where a lot of the floral tutorials fall into, where it emphasizes a two-dimensional, bold shapes and patterns, often reminiscent of folk art or interior design patterns. Then there is the illustrative style, focusing on drawing first approach, watercolor in a supporting role, often reminiscent of travel journals, botanical illustrations, and storybooks. There's also the realism style, often require very precise shapes with layers and layers of washes to capture the subtle gradation and transition in color. And in the context of floral painting, this often translates to painting one petal at a time to really capture the nuanced shadows and forms. The main difference between the realism style and the impressionism style is the degree of abstraction, where impressionism tends to abstract further the shapes to suggest the subject without capturing every single detail, and the colors are more pushed to create a strong mood or feeling. However, I'm really drawn to the Dutch master's oil pieces of floral subject, where there is a freeing quality in the shapes and forms. And because in a lot of my landscape paintings, I use dark tones a lot in the background, dark moody background for floral subject will be a through line to maintain my style in that direction. It's just that I can't find a lot of examples or tutorials, so it will probably require some trial and error to develop my own techniques. Now knowing the overall guardrails and what is versus not my style, we can get started painting. The best way to learn is just do it. Simply by doing it, you will be able to surface all kinds of problems and maybe answer your previous questions in the process. And the new problems will guide your exploration as the next step. And for me, the biggest burning question I had as I start is, to what degree should I abstract these forms related to floral subject? I worry that if it's abstracted too much, then the subject will not be identifiable. But if not abstracting enough, it may not look like my work anymore. So here you see me just getting started painting a singular flower based on a photo I found on Pinterest. The reason why I suggest you paint instinctively, even though this is your first time experiencing a new subject, is because you want your natural style and expression to come through so that you can notice it and push them further. As versus if you were to follow tutorials and different teachers every time, you may confuse other visual language from yours and therefore losing track of a cohesive set of visual language that belongs to you and you will feel comfortable using to depict a group of subjects. Through this first attempt, I feel like I pretty much answered the key question I started out with, which is, to what degree should I abstract the subject? It turns out it doesn't require a lot of abstraction while still having ample opportunity to use expressive brushstrokes to depict the subject. If anything, I feel like I was a bit too timid with the way I painted the petals and the leaves, where I could have been more intentional and bold with my brushstrokes. So that's something I'm going to pay attention to in my next round. However, the main problem that surfaced here is that my floral subject does not look very luminescent or transparent, which is a key quality, I feel like, of the flower subject, is that they need to look almost glowing, transparent, and very fresh. The pencil marks also seem a little too strong because in some of the areas where the flower color is really light, the pencil show through a bit too much and then take away maybe some of the freshness further. So then in my next exploration, I'm going to try and focus on how to bring back the luminosity of the flowers, maybe without using pencil drawing, which can be a bit of a challenge because I typically rely on pencil drawings in my painting process. All right, before we continue, I just want to say that it's not too late to jumpstart your watercolor practice for 2026, and I have just the perfect recipe for you. My 30-day watercolor bootcamp course will teach you to go from zero to hero in watercolor by having you paint 30 small paintings for 30 days. Now, these aren't random paintings, rather exercises intentionally designed to help you gain the core skills one little bit at a time, allowing you to go for quantity and fail fast instead of overthinking or feeling stuck. So that by the end of it, you will have gained the expert instincts with the medium and a trained eye for composition, color mixing, and bold brushstrokes. It's not too late to join in on the live 30-day challenge that's currently going on right now through my Patreon program, where you will be doing this alongside 200 plus other watercolor enthusiasts while getting support from me and the community directly. Follow this link here on screen or in description below and join in on the challenge. I will be hosting a live event at the end of February to celebrate those who have joined in on the challenge, have encouraged each other, and have learned valuable skills throughout this process. All right, back to the main video. This time, I'm going to introduce dark and moody background, not only because this is something that's cohesive to my current style, but also I feel like it will help with bringing out the luminosity of the flowers further. As I go along, I encountered this challenge with painting fine shapes against a dark background. These fine shapes ideally should be left out as the white of the paper with the typical watercolor approach. However, I ended up trying out gouache for these fine details because they're so fine to be left out as negative shapes. But also because I need some of these fine leaves to be pushed back further into the background, painting them in gouache before the background dries up will help making sure the leaves have soft edges so that compared to the sharp edges like the flower buds here in the center, they will look much more abstracted, therefore making the sharp-edged object the focal point. The reason for that is because even within the floral subject, I need to select a focal point. That's something that the photo wouldn't show you, but you as an artist, just based on experience, know that there needs to be selected focal point while pushing everything else further back. Based on the last round of learning, this time I feel like one thing that did go well was the intentional usage of bold and expressive brushstrokes, fully embracing the alla prima method to create really fresh and energetic look for the subject. The same approach was applied to painting the patterns of the blue vase, as opposed to copying every single detail seen in the photo, which will be more of a realism approach. I have abstracted the pattern and only painted the areas that resembles the overall movement of the patterns on the vase. And I experimented with using a flathead brush as well, such as these sunburst patterns inside the cosmo flowers. This time I also used a much more faint pencil drawing. because I don't feel fully comfortable yet not drawing anything. But I kept it faint, at least for the white flowers, will not have any dark pencil marks on them. I do think that for the second attempt, I have largely achieved the main objective, which is bringing the luminosity and the almost translucent feeling of the flower subject. The results of this one are much improved. However, there are a few more issues here that got surfaced. The first is that the background actually dried up much lighter than I expected. I think what caused it is because the paper was wetted entirely before the painting started, and wetted paper tend to dilute the paint as well. The paint will also run down and not stay on the paper surface as much. In my typical landscape painting, this is not an issue because I don't typically pre-wet my paper. But it's a mental note that I do need to mix much thicker and darker consistency for these backgrounds so that when it dries, it will achieve the desired contrast. For so far, I've been restraining the color usage pretty much to the subject, which is something then I'm ready to tackle next. Now for the next attempt, I'm going to focus more on the color usage. Knowing that the flower subject will be brighter than a lot of the landscape paintings, see how far I can push the color to be brighter without maybe deviating too far from the typical color palette I use. I have also decided to dial up the complexity a little bit by using my own photos, so that I can practice interpretation and simplification, especially for the background. And this photo also contains both dark and light color flowers, which I thought is interesting to experiment as well. So here I continue this process of using multiple brush to tackle the background while leaving out the flower shape. The main difference is that here I do want a hint of some sense of furniture and shelving in the background. I did painting some shapes in this background before everything dries up. Here I repeated the learnings of the previous round by using gouache wet on wet to paint the flowers that are in the back that need to be abstracted and pushed into the background. This will help leaving out the sharp edges of the focal flowers as well. As to the question I had regarding color usage, I noticed that the pure colors in fact are beneficial in terms of painting the base wash for each flower. However, once we added the shadow part of the flowers, inevitably we need to add either brown or blue color. It will darken and also mute the color of the flowers. So then as a whole, the flowers will look vibrant, but not garish in colors. And to build on the learnings from the last attempt, I experimented with brush strokes further by using a fan brush here, for example, to see if I can suggest these needle-like fine petals of aster flowers without depicting them individually. Through this process of learning to paint a group of flowers, it's very handy to have a large, clean brush where you can use to spot wet certain areas because that gives you controlled blending, which is something that's necessary to help bring cohesion. So some edges between the flowers are soft, others are sharp. This interplay of sharp versus soft edges is what really creates that fresh yet luminous feeling of the flower subject. So it turns out white gouache can be really effective in making things pop in the context of floral painting. I feel like I would be frowning upon overusage of white gouache in other settings, but here it makes total sense when it's used very sparingly and very much on point, and a little bit goes a long way. Now stepping back and looking at this attempt, I think the abstraction techniques of the background works. However, it does not work for this particular photo because the flowers are already quite busy, so then the background just needs to be further abstracted. And when you have flowers, some dark and some light, that can be an especially tricky scenario to work with. So we'll be probably better off if we try to push all of the flowers towards light to mid-tone, and then the background mid to dark tone. That will help really separating out the subjects. Now with all of these repeated attempts, I do feel like I started to get a good hand of it. And this is the most exciting phase, I would say, when learning a new subject, that you just cannot wait to replicate these techniques again and kind of bulletproof them. This is the fourth painting I created. I didn't record this painting process on camera. However, I will overlay the footage here of a very important exercise at this stage of learning. This exercise is essentially summarizing all the brushstrokes necessary to succinctly suggest the form of different flower species while bringing out their characteristics. I found this exercise important to do after the fourth painting because I noticed that there are a few times I was lost in terms of interpreting shapes I see into the shapes to paint because the subject was quite complex. So some flowers have lost their shapes, for example, the peonies here. So then I had to go back and paint them again, therefore sacrificing the freshness of the subject. If you know me or if you have joined my greenery painting workshop earlier, you know that I'm a big fan of pattern matching and creating a visual aid based on the patterns so that you will know for this type of trees under this type of circumstances, what specific visual treatment you're going to use for them. You can see that as a way to help you make quick decisions in a repeatable but also reliable manner, so that when you are approaching a more complex scenes like this whole bundle of flowers, you're able to draw from your memory what are the different brush strokes and forms you're going to use for what type of flowers, so that they will come out full of their personalities, but also with more confident looking brush strokes. This is why you see me here starting to put together a grid of different flower species, all of them living on a dark background. Because part of the muscle memories here is also knowing what kind of shape to leave out and to paint negatively around the flowers, so that the overall forms of the flower will come to life in a split second. And these small details, such as the shadows on the ruffled petal of the lilies, versus using a flathead brush to carve out the fan shape of the petals on the cosmos. These are all decisions that once you have synthesized and learned, become very instinctual as you go approach the actual subject. I do think that peony here is potentially the most challenging flower subject to master because it really just have a lot of layers. So peonies might be one of those cases where you do need to use a bit more of the layering approach, painting one petal at a time, at least for a few important ones, instead of trying to paint every single shapes in one go. All right, with that, I'm happy to announce that I have learned how to paint watercolor floral subject by maintaining a cohesive style to my landscape paintings. Now, if you're interested in learning how to paint floral subject in this alla prima method in watercolor, but reminiscent of old Dutch masters oil pieces, then join me for a Patreon online workshop for March. I'll be breaking down the techniques step by step while showing you a few tips and tricks I have learned along the way. All right, folks, until then, happy painting. Bye.